Have you ever wondered about your level of physical function as it relates to your independence and quality of life? I'm Trey Bennett, nurse practitioner and founder of Vitality Lifestyle Medicine, and that's what we're talking about today with my guest, Aaron Anderson, occupational therapist who specializes in proactive aging. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what led you to create Health and Habit and introduce this new service for proactive aging.
Yeah. So in my career as an occupational therapist, I've mainly worked with older adults, and I kept seeing people coming to me over and over after a fall, after an injury, major surgery, or exacerbation of chronic disease. And I started to want to help people earlier, seeing if we could prevent the falls, if we could prevent the hospitalization. And that led me to start a business called Health and Habit, where we're focused on proactive aging and helping people age with confidence and control.
That's awesome. And that really aligns with kind of my journey as well. You know, it only takes so many times of seeing someone suffering to, decide that you want to try to help them earlier to prevent that suffering.
Right. Yeah. When I felt like I was seeing people and helping them just in and out of a revolving door, I knew I couldn't keep doing the same thing over and over, that
Right.
I needed to take a different approach to help people in a deeper and more profound way.
Right. And so that's where you got into this proactive aging and lifestyle medicine approach that is really important to your practice now. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So in working with older adults with proactive aging at Health and Habit, we implement lifestyle medicine, simple things of how we eat, move, sleep, manage stress, and connect with others, because that has the biggest impact on our quality of life as we age. Modern medicine has dramatically expanded the lifespan for people, and that's why we have such an increase in the population of older adults, 65 and older, but it has done very little to extend the health span. And that's where I knew I needed to focus my efforts in proactive aging to help empower people to not just live a long life, but live a satisfying life that has a high quality of life and independence and strength as they age.
Awesome. Yep, that's ideal. And I've seen in my practice, when people get an injury or something like that, it definitely takes their quality of life down a notch or two. And, whether or not they're able to bounce back from that is, definitely has a bearing on their future quality of life. So you're offering this new service known as the Adult Functional Independence Test, or AFIT, for optimal aging. Tell us a little bit more about that, will you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Adult Functional Independence Test for Optimal Aging is a comprehensive 15-point evaluation that looks at the 5 key pillars of fitness for optimal aging. And those are strength, balance, endurance, posture, and flexibility. So these 5 pillars are the areas of fitness that enable us to continue to be independent and not have to rely on others for our activities of daily living as we age. They're the things that enable us to have energy and vitality as we age. And I think in a lot of people's minds, we have this picture of aging being associated with either disability or pain or fatigue. Those things are not necessarily a natural byproduct of aging. In fact, they're more related to our lifestyle habits and routines accumulated over decades. So the Adult Functional Independence Test is essentially like a beneath the hood assessment to understand and identify areas for concern long before they show up in daily life as pain or reliance on others or loss of balance, falls, things like that.
Right. So if we do one of these tests and catch something early, we can then theoretically prevent a fall or potentially a decline in quality of life later, and help the patient live more independently and potentially age in place in their own home versus needing more of a institutional lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen countless instances, of people, adults, maybe they're in their 70s, 80s, what have you, fall. They have difficulty, like you mentioned earlier, recovering from that injury and almost getting to the point where they feel forced out of their home, or they feel like they didn't have a choice, that no one expects to fall or have an injury. These things just happen. But they can be prevented, and that's what this test is so powerful. Why it's so powerful is that it can identify issues while they're relatively small concerns, and much easier to treat and correct, rather than waiting until you have a major problem, like a fall or a hip fracture. And I compare it to when we go to see the dentist. The dentist can help us identify, oh, you have a stain here, that if left untreated, that's going to develop into a cavity. If we don't treat that cavity, that's going to, eventually your tooth is going to rot. You're going to need oral surgery. In my world with therapy, people aren't coming to me until essentially the equivalent of their tooth rotting out and they need surgery has already happened.
Right.
So this is catching it early while it's easy to correct.
All right. So what makes the AFIT different from going to the gym or doing general exercise classes with a personal trainer or something like that?
So generic exercise is good. We all know we should exercise, but it doesn't target your personal strengths or weaknesses. And what the AFIT does for you is give you a personal roadmap of how you can tailor your exercise to your specific needs. Because as we age, keeping ourselves strong, independent, and functioning at a high level, that's a moving target. What we need to work on one year may be different over the next. So we may even be current on our exercise and be active, but we may get stuck in a routine or a rut. And although our strength and endurance might be good, maybe our balance or our posture is actually starting to suffer without us being aware of that. So the AFIT gives people a personal roadmap to their movement wellness to help in their aging journey successfully.
Excellent. So is there some science or research behind this? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of these, the 15 tests that are used that look at strength, balance, endurance, posture, and flexibility, all of them have been thoroughly researched and are predictive of these things we want to avoid essentially as we age, like falls or disability or being reliant on others for our activities of daily living. And so they've been thoroughly researched and used by physical therapists or occupational therapists for decades, but this puts it in a complete package and picture and a concise evaluation to give people a comprehensive or holistic view of their physical fitness.
Excellent. Can you share an example of how early detection of a decline in function could change someone's aging journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's similar to maintenance on a car. If you had a small issue and the mechanic was telling you needed to correct it, it could be even something simple like an oil change or replacing your tires. If we ignored that, that's going to lead to bigger, more costly issues, both personally and financially. So, like I've talked about, a lot of times, because of how our healthcare system works, people aren't seeing a physical therapist or an occupational therapist until a major issue has happened. The wheels have fallen off the car, essentially, and they need a major repair. like a hip fracture, ankle fracture, or in chronic pain. If we can spot the issue early on and treat it with corrective exercises that are targeted and personalized to that individual's needs, it's much easier, less time and less in personal investment to correct that issue.
Right. And theoretically less suffering too. You're essentially working on building yourself up instead of recovering from an issue, and that might involve pain. So that's a benefit there, definitely. So how is this different from what people might kind of a physical assessment people might get at a regular doctor's visit or annual physical?
Yeah, so your traditional annual wellness visit with your primary care physician, it's going to focus more on your lab work, your cholesterol levels, your blood pressure, vitals, but it's not going to look in depth at your physical fitness. And this is where occupational therapists and physical therapists really shine, because we can work with people to really identify what are their specific needs and areas for concern when it comes to those 5 pillars of fitness.
Excellent. And what kinds of people should consider taking the AFIT? Is there kind of an age limit, or is it just for people who already feel weak or at risk or have fallen, or is it also for those middle-aged or those who feel healthy and strong currently?
Absolutely, all the above. But it's the test. The AFIT is designed for adults 50 plus, and the tests are age. They have norms that are referenced to people's specific age. So if I'm a 50-year-old man, the score I should be getting on a single leg stance test to look at my balance and the length of time I'm holding that is going to be a little different from a female who's in her 70s. So the test is designed for people 50 plus, whether they have current concerns on any of those areas of fitness, balance, or endurance, posture, or if they're relatively healthy and active and they want to take a proactive approach to their health. Ounce of prevention for a pound of cure. We have all heard that, and this is a powerful tool to help those that want to be successful in aging with confidence and control.
Excellent. And how long does the test take, and what can someone expect during their appointment for an AFIT test?
Yeah, so it takes about 45 to 60 minutes at the most to go through the AFIT. We go through just a general medical history, look at vitals, make sure things are looking okay before we start doing any of the testing. And then we'll go through 15 different assessments that look at those 5 pillars of fitness: strength, balance, endurance, flexibility, and posture. And once we complete all of those tests, we'll sit down, we'll look at what the results are and identify what any areas of concerns are, if any. And if there are, then we can briefly talk about next steps as far as corrective exercises that are going to be simple, easy, and sustainable for you to integrate into daily life.
Excellent. So what if someone's listening and thinking, that sounds interesting, but maybe not urgent? What would you say to them as far as little ounce of motivation, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to our health, it's easy to take things for granted, and there's 10 other things that maybe feel more urgent. But in my experience, health is our most important, most valuable form of wealth. And if we're not taking care of that, if we don't have the knowledge or data about where our bodies are at with our physical fitness, as well as our what's going on medically with our bodies, then we're just kind of walking through the dark.
Right.
And we may not be prepared for those unexpected things that could happen.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a nice proactive approach. Definitely love that. So, how do you see the AFIT fitting into a bigger picture of lifestyle medicine and proactive healthcare?
Absolutely, yeah. It really fits in perfectly with lifestyle medicine, which seeks to use these lifestyle pillars of health to help people be healthy now and into the future, and equipping them with the knowledge, the resources, and the daily habits to be able to achieve lifelong health and vitality. So this tool, is helpful in giving people more insight into what they can do as far as physical activity and focusing on that pillar of lifestyle medicine. And it ends with giving simple and sustainable exercises that fit into your daily life. One complaint I've heard from people, it's, well, I can't exercise all the time, or
Mhm.
I don't I'm not used to exercising. But it doesn't have to look like going to a gym 3 days a week for 60 minutes every day. There are simple exercises that you can integrate into your daily routine that might take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, but done consistently, added up over a year or a decade, can make dramatic impacts. So that's part of what I love, is helping to coach people on these micro habits or micro changes, to move the needle forward.
Yeah, in my experience, consistency is certainly key when it comes to moving the needle or making a long-term improvement in your health. So that sure makes a lot of sense to me. So for those watching or listening, what is the first step they should take if they're interested in learning more about an AFIT test or aging well, aging in place?
Yeah, well, we're really excited to be hosting a one-day event, that if this is something you're interested in, if you're invested in your health and well-being and want to age with confidence and control, we're having a one-day AFIT event where you can sign up for a time slot to have your personal assessment completed and get on the road to optimal aging.
Awesome. Any final thoughts or messages you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah. The main thing is that aging well or aging optimally, it's not about luck. Um, it's not just luck of the draw with our genetics. It's really primarily about habits and choices. And the AFIT is one way to give yourself clarity and confidence on your aging journey. So my hope is that people realize they have more control over their aging journey than they think.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely. And it's a powerful message. So, your genetics are not your destiny. You can change through your habits and through collecting data, which the AFIT is one way. We can collect data and then shore up any deficiencies essentially. And, with the end goal of living with vitality and increased quality of life. So, I love it. And so if you are interested, just click the link below and sign up or learn more. And we'll see you soon.